truly hate that. I hate that so much. I hate you. You little sucker. You suck. What is up, guys? Welcome back. So today I'm doing a video I am calling If I Were a Normal Beauty Consumer. You can substitute the word normal for typical, average, regular. My whole point in calling it normal is to point out that, by comparison, I am abnormal. I'm just gonna insert some footage here of my current stash. So many beauty YouTubers have really elaborate and wonderful and intelligent organization systems for their makeup, which makes it a lot easier to manage. I am an Aries, and I apologize if you're an Aries who's like really naturally organized. Understand that I am just not. I've had plenty of people message me and been like, can you do a closet tour? And then I just send them a picture of my closet, and I think that they like unfollow me. They're like, I thought that you were different. No, I thrive in chaos. And so I thought it would be cool to do a video where I examined my routine as if I were like back to being a normal human being, as in a non-influencer just churning through a constant parade of new releases and like never finishing anything. By my definition, a normal beauty consumer is someone who has maybe one or two of a certain each type of step in their routine, and they use it up before they go and try something new. Like maybe they stagger it, maybe they have multiple eyeshadow palettes or things like that. But like when I was just a regular old beauty consumer, before I decided I wanted to go on YouTube, I would finish eyeshadows. I would finish blushes, you know? Like I remember the tragedy of running out of foundation. It's just like not a reality for me anymore. So I have a bag right here. It is not a small bag. I will not lie to you and say that's a small bag, but everything that is going on my face today is going to come out of this bag, and it's gonna be a makeup look. I'm gonna do powder and everything. Even my brushes are in here. And I don't know, I kind of want to invite anybody else who's feeling their brain a little bit cluttered in the creator space to give this a shot and just see. I've definitely seen like the minimalist makeup collection challenge and things like that. I don't think I'll ever be able to be like a fully like minimalist person. So I don't really want to call it that, but I think that this is still a healthy exercise. So we're gonna do a get ready with me. We're gonna talk a little bit while that's happening about like my 2020 goals, where I've been at in my mind lately creatively, having to do with my channel, and just kind of catching up. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I just bought an overhead rig to film with that mounts your camera so that it looks at the floor or like looks down onto a surface instead of right at you. And I'm going to use it to do some makeup declutters, because a lot of the makeup that I have in my stash, it's not just stuff I don't use anymore. It's expired. It's from 2018, and I do need to get rid of a lot of it, but I also know that this stuff, there was a little clog in that. This is the Hydro Grip Primer from Milk Makeup. Not only do I love this, it's very small, so it fits in my bag really easily, but I have friends, my friend Jordan, my friend Vanessa, who love experimenting with makeup, and if I were to like give them my Natasha Denona palettes, I don't know, I just think that like they would love that and they would get so much more use out of them than I would. I'm like really excited about the idea of someone else getting use out of the makeup that I'm not using. I've done a lot of growth over the last couple of years, just kind of drilling down and understanding the aesthetic that I want. And I just kind of had to get out of my own head about that and decide to start making the content. And I kind of decide this over and over and over again, right? But like decide to make the content that feels really good in my heart. And one thing that has not been feeling that good in my heart lately is pulling the trigger on buying new makeup. And I know that's kind of like horrible to say. Kackie reviews beauty. Well, Kackie, if you're not buying beauty, what are you reviewing? But at the same time, I feel like I have a responsibility to set a little bit of a better example about the rate at which we should be consuming, even though, yes, there is a part of me that's like, well, you know, if you bite the bullet and buy something and you tell people it's not worth it, then, you know, how many thousands of people are going to heed your advice and not waste that product kind of thing. So it's 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other, but like, I do feel like it's on my heart right now to simplify, if that makes sense. So that was the Daily Correct CC cream from Supergoop. It would be as it was in my end of year favorites, it would be like my number one. If I had to have one foundation, it would be this one, just because it has the right amount of coverage and it's so versatile. Like you can wear it as just like a face of sunscreen essentially, or you can put powder on it and wear it like a foundation. So one of the things that I'm going to do today that I have yet to actually like try is use the I Lift 360 from Thrive as a zit primer to make the concealer stick right there, because oh, I almost don't even want to talk about her. She's so angry with me. I don't know whether it was hormones or that like weird episode my skin had kind of in the last video where I was talking about how I used too many actives, like I tried too many new skincare products at one time. Do not recommend. Something that I'm going to be trying today that I have yet to try on camera. In fact, I've yet to try this at all. This is the new Hourglass Vanish Concealer. Yes, she was very expensive. And this is one of those things that like if I ask my sincerest, deepest heart of hearts, whether I would have bought this had like not everybody been asking me to, yeah, I would have bought this. I also would have bought the Bite Beauty new collection, which I did buy, and it's like coming on Thursday, so it'll probably be Sunday's video. Anyway, there are still a lot of beauty releases that I think are really, really awesome and important and interesting, but I also, I don't know. Okay, so like, I have a word of the year every year. Last year, my word of the year was worthy. And that was because I realized that the biggest block I had in terms of success on my channel and in terms of making room, making space in my life to be able to do what I wanted and like invite better things into my life involved first making the agreement with myself that I was worthy of essentially an exception being made, right? For me, because you look at like the rat race of life and you're like, well, that's just how it works, you know? I'm supposed to have a full-time job and work until I retire and then retire until I die, you know? And I think that the world just looks different than that now, but you have to ask for special privileges. And in order to ask for special privileges, you have to believe that you deserve them first and be willing to work for them. Wow! Not only is that a great match, but it blends so beautifully. Did we expect anything less from Hourglass? No, I did not. I meant to prime under my eyes, but like, oh well. So kind of continuing on the same narrative, I was wondering like what my word of the year was gonna be for this year, because there are a few things, right? One is simplify. I really, really want to feel a clearer headspace. And so I did at the end of the year, put in my notice at my job, and they decided to keep me on for like 15 hours a week, which is totally, totally fine. And then I have like new clients kind of starting right after Q1, which is when I get done with them. Semantics, but the point is I have managed to like construct a work schedule and a balance that like really works for me and works with my channel. But also something that I noticed, and I don't really know how better to articulate this, but the thing that I noticed about 2019 was that I felt increasingly, oddly, powerless. Not necessarily powerless over my personal like world, like that's fine, but just an existential powerlessness. And it was starting to kind of seep into the rest of my life. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining that. Like I don't actually know how to properly explain it. It was more of just this like visceral feeling of just being like, why is there so much to worry about and nothing I can do about any of it? Like on a human scale, you know? And I also wanted power or powerful to be part of my pledge to myself for 2020, because worthy became such an important thing for me. Like it was just such a great word that actually did really resonate with me, and it made a difference by the end of 2019. Like I did feel like I was worthy of asking for what I needed, because I know that I'm willing to put in the work, and I know that I can drive results in whatever it is that I decide to put my mind to. And things just started like coming together towards the end of the year, and I have really, really cool things going on right now in a way that is actually freeing up space in my brain and allowing me to focus in on what I actually enjoy. So that was the Hourglass Veil powder. I do feel like that concealer and or that primer like didn't really cut it in terms of covering that guy, and it might just have to stay like that, but I did bring a backup just in case. I brought the KKW, and this is another thing, guys, where I totally understand that probably no one would see this coming on my channel. That I would go and like spend my money on Kim Kardashian's makeup line. But I thought that it looked awesome, to be honest. Like, I really thought that this line had some really great creative choices made, and I wanted to see if the quality and the performance were there, and I'm really not sure if I have a hot take on it other than that. Someone suggested, and this is something that I thought about, doing like half a face of like, you know, pure Kim Kardashian snatchness, and then the other half like how I do my makeup, and I'm like, then it would just look like I had one saggy side of my face, because that is the beauty of what she does, is that it just, you know, snatches up one side, well, both sides of your face, hopefully. But really, I just want to present to you guys like a face of makeup that I think is like a fun alternative that's not super expensive and that does actually perform. I might take it for like a full day wear test and see how the pigments hold up and things like that. But like, this concealer is really, really beautiful. And I think that the shade choices that they made are really, really good. It's pretty straightforward. So as I'm like looking at my stash, right? And I'm feeling really overwhelmed. Like, you notice I'm back to filming in this room. Cannot. I'm filming in this room because my beauty room has become kind of a toxic place for me. That may be temporary, it may be long term, I don't know. But the reason that I feel that way is because I feel like it is like a monument to gluttony. It just feels kind of nauseating when I look at that just pile of stuff. And it's not an organization thing. I have to have my media where I can see it in order to be really creative. So it's like, it would ideally be on some kind of display on the wall where I could just like pick out of a palette as I go, but like I don't really foresee that happening. So I think that the first step is truly decluttering and seeing how my brain feels after that. But I want to declutter everything. This was the first season that I did a stab at a capsule wardrobe and really asked myself, like with utter sincerity, what do you really wear? Like, what do you wear? What, if you buy it, will you actually wake up in the morning and put on your body? And the answer was not what I expected it to be. What did I end up with? A lot of loungewear. And I don't mean like pajamas, I mean like athleisure. I ended up with a lot of Lululemon. I ended up with a lot of like Everlane, like hoodies, technical apparel that like I can wear on like long runs if the weather isn't awesome. By the way, that was the RMS Beauty Luminizing Powder in Scarlet Peach. I decided that if I'm going to distill down all of these feelings that I'm having as far as like a 2020 word of the year, my word is unlearn. I want to unlearn all of the beauty standards. I want to unlearn all of the things that make me feel powerless. I want to unlearn all of the materialism and the things that like society has told me make me valuable. You know, like you're succeeding if you can do X, Y, and Z, or if you own X, Y, and Z and things like that. Like I was driving and I have a pretty old car. My car is from 2011. And so I've had it for 9 years? Would that be 9 years? And definitely like I am a car junkie. I know that that sounds silly, but like I grew up with my dad being really, really into cars, like really into cars. And as a kid, for whatever reason, I just started kind of passively logging car models in my brain. Like I can recognize any car model on the street. It's a really dumb skill to have, but I can tell you what it is. You tell me the model, I can tell you the make. I can point out like different like years of like when, you know, the body styles changed on certain products, on certain cars and things like that. And I can tell you like what's still being made and what isn't, and kind of like the price ranges of them and stuff. It's just something that I've always been kind of like a passive student of. And it's something that I've always just been, I don't know, just casually interested in. And it does make me kind of a materialist when it comes to that stuff, because I do kind of, you know, get excited about a cool, blingy, like, status car, you know? I'm not gonna go, no offense to anybody, I know that obviously some people are going to drive BMWs, but like, those are really expensive, okay? Like, that's an expensive car, and then you have to fill it with premium, and it costs more to maintain, things like that. And so I think that like the practicality that was inborn in me from my parents and from growing up without being like, you know, outrageously rich, like being a very money aware human from the very beginning, just knowing that I want to get my money's worth, you know, I swoon over things like the new Volvo. They're going to do a plug-in hybrid of the Volvo XC40. And it looks so amazing. And like, if I were to get pregnant, I could totally see that. Where did my bronzer just go? Being my mommy mobile, you know? But Mike pointed out, he goes, you don't really drive very much. I was like, you're probably right. He goes, you know, we could lease. And I was like, I don't want to lease a car. I like to own things. I don't know why. It's just everybody has their own philosophy on this stuff. But also, I thought about turning in my car that has never once wronged me. That car has been so reliable and so inexpensive to drive. It is a 2011 Honda Insight Hybrid. I mean, I pay $20 to fill the tank up every 2.5 weeks. I mean, it's crazy. Yes, I have to replace the tires all the time, but that is just my own personal axe to grind with Honda and their low profile tires. But do I want to trade my car in? Like, no. I'm driving it and I'm like, what have you ever done to me to deserve me trading you in? Like, that just makes me feel sad. And I think that there is a certain part of me that has grown to where I really appreciate things that are worn in. And that's a really positive mindset. Okay, so I do feel like I need to catch you guys up. So that was the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush Quad in Ghost. And I put all of it on my face, just all of it. And the Cover FX Moonlight highlighter on top of that. These are my faves, guys. I didn't put it on my face, but I included it in this little kit. Bye. Is the Debronzi Anti-Pollution Sunshine Drops from Drunk Elephant. I included this because I didn't know whether the foundation was gonna match my face, and to be honest, I'm kind of still not sure that it did, because Loving Tan sent me a box of goodies and I tried it all, and so I do have a fake tan right now, even on my face. Like, they sent me a face-specific product. And so I do feel like I kind of over brightened a little bit, but it's fine. Also, like, nothing is going to cover that. I would need like a green stick and I don't have one, so. What are you gonna do? It's a zit, guys. We're humans. So where was I going with all of that? I think that my main point is that what we talked about at, what was that, the end of the year? I can't even remember. I think it was during my Q&A. I talked about how when I lost my job in 2018, I was able to come back to this non-materialistic mindset, and I really enjoyed my life more and I felt like I had more money. But then as soon as I had to, like, I had expenses and I had to get a full-time job, I wasn't able to like completely survive on YouTube. And so I got another job at the beginning of 2019, and as soon as I started getting a steady paycheck, I just started spending again with like really materialistic abandon, because I felt like there was so much blood, sweat, and tears and like pain associated with earning that money that I felt like I deserved to go and like spend it with a vengeance. And so I don't know what the next step is here. What are we doing? Eyeshadow? Yeah, we're gonna do eyeshadow. If I had to pick one palette, it would be the Aether Beauty Rose Quartz Crystal Gemstone palette. Wow. And the reason I want to also use this today is because the first time that I reviewed this, I didn't do it right. I used a lot of the grays and the blues, and I tried to kind of make it a little bit too much of a look when this is actually an incredibly practical everyday palette, and I want to show you guys how I use it now. So the first thing I'm going to do is start with like these three colors. This kind of tan color, this kind of like, I don't know, it's sort of a, it's not iridescent by any means, but it does have a slight amount of satin to it, and it's sort of like a pinky beige champagne color. And then this unbelievably beautiful brown right here that we'll deepen the crease with. Brushes don't take up that much room, so I did include quite a few of them in here, and they're like all Wayne Goss. I'm really, really into these. So What was I saying? Oh yeah, so now that I'm in a space where I actually really like the way that I'm earning money, like I appreciate where it's coming from and I enjoy the work that I'm doing, I also don't necessarily feel like I have to go and spend that money like a crazy woman, you know? And for that reason, I feel like it's kind of had a reflection. It's made me kind of examine every single part of my life. And that's what I'm talking about when I say unlearn. I want to like ask hard questions, like question everything this year and question why it's in my brain, where it came from, why I feel compelled to do certain things. Because in a lot of cases, I feel like my channel is the boss of me and like I have to stay within a certain context of content or I'm gonna disappoint people. And then I realized that like I have extremely consistent viewership and not necessarily hundreds of thousands of views or like a really, really large percentage of my actual like subscriber base watches every video, but that the consistency means that most of the time people are watching because they want to know what I think and they want to hang out with me, just like I want to hang out with you, not necessarily because they're super interested in the actual subject matter, which is so cool. That means that like my job at the end of the day is to follow my heart and be myself. Like that's the best thing anybody can ask for. And I just need to like remember that and let that really sink in and resonate with me that like the reason that we have built this community as such a positive place is because I believe that this is a place where we can all be ourselves. And it's harder than it sounds. It really is, you know? I think that that's one of the biggest pieces of advice you'll get if you ever watch any videos about like how to start a YouTube channel or something. You know, be yourself. God, it's actually really, really hard because I'm not sure that before I started a YouTube channel and like spent years talking to a camera that I really even knew what myself was like. My channel has made me just a lot more like self-aware and also a lot more confident. Like even if you never, ever, ever post it to the internet, I think that recording yourself and watching it and just getting comfortable with that is an amazing way to like acquaint yourself with what makes you unique and what makes you valuable and like stop comparing yourself to other people. There's something really, really cool about like watching my own videos. When I get like in my own head, watching other creators and I'm like, oh, I should do that, or oh, that worked for them, it'll probably work for me, or blah, blah, blah. Instead of comparing myself to them, I should be comparing myself to past me. And what I found is really helpful is to just go and watch some of my older videos and I'm like, oh no, like I have my own thing. I'm doing my own thing. Like there's something really, really valuable about that. And you know, it comes down to like, if I think about like a real, I don't know, conceptual video that someone else has done and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. And then I imagine actually sitting down and making that video. And I'm like, I can't even hear my own voice saying those things. I can't even like get excited about that. Or like if I were sitting in front of the camera, I don't think that my energy would come across as positive to people because you really do have to be able to like establish flow when you're filming in order to come off as real. If you can't like get out of your own head and let stuff flow, it's just gonna become like a jolty video. And that happens to me sometimes. Sometimes I have to film when I'm like not in the best headspace because filming does make me happier and it makes me feel really productive and it is like a creative thing for me. And so even if I'm not feeling like 100%, I still feel like I owe that to people to, you know, get on here and do my best. Like that's the most important thing, is to just do your best. All that to say, I keep getting off on these tangents, but like, I don't know, I think they're fun tangents. All of that to say, I am going to make the content that I feel the most engaged with. And I know that's like obvious, but I had to really sit down and listen to my heart because this is such a routine for me. buy the makeup, review the makeup. It's an easy thing to kind of fall into a routine with that. And I wanted to take a step back and examine the things that are making my heart feel heavy. And what's making my heart feel heavy is accumulation. So much accumulation, not even consumption. Like, it doesn't feel like abundance the way that it used to feel. Like, I used to get excited about having this just really cool, like, giant smorgasbord of makeup, but it's just gotten out of control. And yes, giving a lot of it away is gonna really help, but I also need to change my habits in terms of like my filter for what gets my money. And I think that that's gonna result in a lot of will I buy it or like anti-hauls, because I want to give you guys I don't know, a look inside my brain, because literally guys, that is so much of my time is just perusing. It's like Instagram, Ulta, Sephora, Beautylish, looking for new indie brands, Trend Mood, just seeing what's coming out and what I find interesting, but also what I think that you guys will find interesting. And I think that if I'm not going to just buy every single thing that's like sparkly and slightly relevant, then I should at least let you guys in on my thought process as to why I'm not going to buy something. And I personally flipping love those kinds of videos. Like Nisi Pisa, she gets a lot of recognition, but I still don't think it's enough recognition. She does some of the best reacting to new makeup releases videos I've ever seen, and I would never dare to like come for her brand because she does skits, Girls Got Jokes, Girls Got Wigs. She's got a really great like comedic mind, and I would never like dream of trying to like reinterpret that on my channel. I'm not an actor, okay? I'm not. But I do think that a lot of you guys, just judging by the messages that I get on Instagram, you guys are like, what do you think about this? Do you think that this is stupid? Do you think blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, sitting there interacting with you guys individually, like, why not make that into more of like a video series? So I just think that like that declutter content, talking about my capsule wardrobe, like everything that my main shift in my headspace just around the way that I decide to shop and like spend my money, because, do I think I have a voice in the beauty space? I hope so, but that also comes with like a responsibility, I feel like, not just to lead by example, but also to grow, to share my growth, to be one way, re-examine it, and maybe be another way. Like, that's allowed. That's what humans do. That was the Thrive eyebrow pencil. I do love her. I think she's great. I'm gonna use the Victoria Beckham eyeliner and I'm gonna smudge it, even though it's black and I think it'll be a little bit much for this look. I had to pick something and that one's my favorite, so that's what we're doing. You know what I think this look needs? I think it needs some coral. I'm going to go in with the Bare Minerals Coral Cloud blush because this has just been one of my recent obsessions. I love this color. I love this texture. I love that they make this. It's just such a freaking interesting makeup product. I'm gonna put a little bit of it in my eye look too. I just feel like it's a little bit cool toned and I wanna bring just some life into there because I do have a fake tan. So I'm gonna local color it up right now. I'm actually gonna use this big fat brush. Possibly to my detriment. Could be the stupidest thing I've done all day. I think it's officially too much blush, but we'll see once we get everything else on. I started watching declutter content. I avoided it for years. I was always like, oh, I don't want to watch someone organize. God, that sounds unbearable. And then I watched some and I was like, yep, that makes me want to get rid of everything. Makes me want to get rid of everything. So look forward to at least one good declutter video, and this time I'm actually going to share it with you guys instead of just tossing things in a box and narrating, because I always thought that people would find it so boring if I actually shared every single product. Plus there's like a major degree of shame to a declutter where you're like, I'm throwing this thing away that I spent $100 on. Like, that feels horrible. And I know that there are, ways to give things away. In fact, what I do typically, if they are like hygienic things, I take them to my office and there will be nothing left in a matter of hours. People just come and descend on it. And then, like I said, if I go to my friend Jordan and Vanessa's house, like they will absorb all of my makeup, and that's fantastic. That's what I want to happen. So I think that, you know, half of it is just kind of starting fresh, and the other half of it is just the way we talk about mindful beauty, guys. That's gonna translate into a mindfulness surrounding a lot of things, unlearning why I feel like I have all of these like muscle memory, knee-jerk mechanisms around the way that I consume and around what I feel like I should do. Lately, I've seen that in a lot of things. Like, I haven't read the author that people quote that from, but they talk about shoulds and like how you should avoid shoulds. You should avoid shoulds. I'm paraphrasing, but the idea being that shoulds should always be examined. Ask yourself whether something is actually relevant to you, whether it resonates with you. Like, it's a feeling that I had to push past a lot. Like adding to cart, knowing that I still had so much stuff that was going to go unused. I was always like, okay, but this is my job, but this is my job, but this is my job. Are those even? This one's struggling. Hang on, I'm gonna like not talk for a second. Kinda, sure, whatever. So that is why in 2020, my word of the year is unlearn. Because I want to question everything. And I've finally given myself the space to do that. And what I guess that I was trying to say earlier is just that there's no shame in having it one way, thinking that it was the right way, and reassessing. That's what like therapy is for, you know, is to isolate the parts of your life that once served a purpose, but now they don't anymore. And they're just kind of causing you more negative, anxious, burdensome feelings than the original helpfulness that they provided in whatever moment you kind of created them in. I got a message last night on Instagram. I put that prompt up about like doing a beauty truth or dare. I'm really excited about doing that. I'm gonna look like a fool. It's gonna be awesome. But the question that the person asked was like, are you planning on going back to like, you know, low-key natural makeup, or are you gonna stick with the glam thing? And I was like, guys, no offense. I get it. Like, I appreciate you even caring enough to like ask me something like that. I'm grateful for anyone even engaging with my content for any reason at all. Absolutely. And you have every right to ask a question like that. That's not my point. But it does speak to how I can start to feel like people want and expect me to stay the same. My answer to that was the honest truth, which is I am not so much like going for glam or going for anything. It's just that I have learned how to do makeup. Like I literally wrote, I don't know, I think it must have been at the middle of last year or something. I wrote, this is the year I get good at makeup. Because I got tired of making excuses in all of my videos for like why something didn't turn out well and not knowing whether it was because of the makeup or just because I was a dunce, you know? And like, I wanted to just go ahead and close the gap on that, regardless of whether it was my actual like aesthetic, because I'm a person who changes all the time. That's the beauty of makeup, is you can wash it off and start over. It's not a big deal. But that I wanted to learn all of the YouTube ways of doing makeup, re-examine it, see what I actually think and feel about it. But I had to get to the point where I mastered the rules first. To the point that you can on your own face. The next step, if I wanted to master makeup, would be to go do makeup on other people. And I don't want to do that. I just don't want to. Like, I was in the service industry for so long doing hair that like that whole, like getting back into like that part of the beauty industry, I have zero interest in. So that's just like not in the cards for me. And that's totally fine. Like, I'm not going to go do weddings. I do though feel like to a large extent, like I have figured out how makeup works on me and what I like to look like, at least for today. You know, like some days I might want to be contoured to the gods. I'm probably going to like go in with that freaking awesome highlight and contour palette from KKW when I do that video. Like, it's gonna be fun, and I like that part of makeup. I like the fun part of makeup. But if I'm going for like an everyday look, yeah, I do. I kind of want to unlearn the idea of chiseling everything and putting makeup in the exact same place every single day, because it's just like not fun. and I want it to be fun. Let's do lips, and then we'll put a little bit more concealer on that spot. I have my one and only, my Kackie lip liner from Thrive. And we're gonna put that on with, I don't even know, oh, Glossier, sweet. I want to be clear here on the Glossier lip gloss, guys. It's not that this isn't one of my favorite things in the whole world. It's just that it doesn't work that well in videos because if I talk for a really long time, it starts to do that white thing in the corner of my mouth, which is just so disappointing when I'm editing. It's like seeing that there was a piece of hair sticking up the entire time or that your necklace was turned around the entire time. You know, you're just like, oh God, I can't believe I'm making someone watch this and this is like such an annoying distraction. But in like regular everyday life, if I'm not talking for an hour straight, this is the glossiest, prettiest lip gloss of all time. My hair's making me crazy. Can you not? I just wish that these would go up. Can we talk about hair things real quick? I'm gonna talk about this in my favorites, but where have scrunchies been? Oh my God, we thought that they went into the annals of history. I'm so glad that they're back. I can't even tell you guys. Like, I bought, I think like 10 scrunchies the other day. Like, I'm so pumped about scrunchies because I have no hair and scrunchies are so awesome for like making your bun have a presence and like actually be there. And it doesn't put as much of a kink in your hair and it doesn't give me a headache holding my hair up. I don't know. I'm like looking at myself in my viewfinder right now. I wish that I did have my Lawless bronzer on hand. That is one thing that I wish I had included. And then the other thing that I bought, do you guys remember these? Oh my God, what have I been doing? Dicking around with bobby pins for years when these things, they actually snap and they actually freaking hold your stuff. Now, I'm not sure that's a really good look either. Okay, I don't know. Those pieces are just forever going to fall down and that's just how it is. I'm gonna use some of the Patrick Ta blush as like a bronzer. It's probably not the best idea, but I do feel like there's this weird gap between my hairline and the rest of my face that I usually bridge with contour, and I'm not dealing well with being tan. Let's be real. Like, the contrast of my face has everything to do with me trying to build pigment up right now in order to match my neck because my neck is so dark. Okay, that's the beauty of makeup. Like I said, you can wash it off and start over. So yeah, I have this dream. And my dream is that I film right here and that I have individual makeup items at any given time, but not like a couch worth of a stash, and that room could be something else. I would say it could be an office, but I don't even think that I would use it as an office. Like, I work from home and I work downstairs where I can be with my animals and be near the front door. It's just easier for me. I feel really like tucked away when I'm in my office. And I know a lot of you guys are dying right now. You're like, Kackie, that's not what a sponge is for. It's going to pull all the product off of there. I know, but I don't have a concealer brush with me. And I want to stay with what's in this little bag. That looks ridiculous. Like, that looks terrible. So yeah, this is like how I would do my makeup on a normal day. Granted, do I feel like I look a little bit different because things aren't crazy snatched? A little bit, just because that's how I've been used to doing my makeup on camera recently. But as soon as this like takes 30 minutes to just like settle down and chill on my face and really like warm up and stuff, then it will feel so at home and lightweight. And this whole face of makeup actually does feel really lightweight with the exception of the lip gloss. The lip gloss feels heavy, and that's by design. It's a beautiful, heavy, glossy lip gloss. But to recap, we had the Daily Correct CC Cream, the Daily Correct CC Cream. We tried the Hourglass Concealer, then we tried the KKW Concealer, and then I went in with the Saint Beauty Concealer. They're all the same thing. It doesn't matter. That's another reason that I'm just kind of like, can we back up? These are all the same freaking thing. Like, we are splitting hairs at this point. But then I went in, where did she go? With the RMS Luminizer for bronzer. I went in with the Hourglass palette, which is pricey, but I honestly feel like it's one of the biggest bargains I've ever invested in because I use it so much. The Ghost Ambient Lighting Blush Palette, not in any order. The On Me Radical Setting Mist is what I set with. The Hourglass powder, the Veil powder, Moonlight from Cover FX. All this stuff should be pretty familiar to you guys if you've watched my channel before. The Thrive Eye Lift. This is supposed to, you know, make all this stuff not move if I can actually get the concealer on there to begin with. And I used the Aether Beauty Rose Quartz Crystal Gemstone palette, and then I used a little bit of that Bare Minerals blush on my eyes and on my cheeks to just add that like coral pop, that warmth, that beautifulness. I used the Patrick Ta in place of the Lawless bronzer that I would typically lean really hard on. We had the Glossier lip gloss as well as my Kackie lip liner from Thrive. The Satin Kajal liner from Victoria Beckham, which I think is a little bit much for this look, to be honest. It probably could have just gone with like a shadow liner. Tools-wise, we had two brushes from Wayne Goss, the 02 and the 03, which I just live and die by. The eyeliner fine brush from Thrive. This little Eco Tools brush that I will link below. I think they don't make it anymore, but you can still get it. I did find it on Amazon. I'll just have to kind of keep hunting it down and like see where it's hiding. Infinity Waterproof eyebrow liner in Audrey. Oh, and then I used the Glossier Boy Brow in Brown. Again, ride or die. And if I were a normal makeup consumer, this is what my makeup bag would look like, and those are the products that I would pick as my use them up until they're gone, replace them when they're done kinds of products. So again, I encourage any creators watching this to do this if you haven't done anything similar to this already. Lauren, I know you've got a stash either as big or bigger than mine. Kate the Great, you probably do too. Lulu, I'm looking at you. I would love to see this from you. Even Leanne. Leanne, I know that you have a stash that is just, it's basically like self-aware at this point. It's like this heaving monster. It might not be. They just moved. She might have just completely just purged. I'm not sure. I'd still be interested to know. Anyway, I tag anyone and everyone who wants to do this. Expect some slightly different videos as we sort of enter a more mindful space on my channel. One thing that is not going to change is that what you see is what you get, and you're always going to get 100% Kackie, okay? So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, guys, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you did. Ring the notification bell so that you know when I upload. It's so much fun to come hang out in the live chats. I hope that you do. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.